This old top loader VCR worked the last time I checked it out a few years ago. It's been sitting around in my locker for, I guess, a couple of years now. And someone actually wants to buy this one from me. So I dug it out. I figured before shipping it anywhere, I would plug it in, make sure that it was still working. And guess what? It's not. So we're going to have to fix it again before I can sell this one. Let's check this one out. This is an old JVC VCR that I've had for years. I actually have someone who's interested in buying this off me, and I just dragged it out from storage to see if it was ready to go. And unfortunately, due to it sitting around, it's not playing a tape. So I put a tape in and press play. Watch it work this time. Tape doesn't move, and I don't get a picture, obviously, because the tape's not moving. Tape does move and rewind and fast forward. There's rewind. So we know there's no problem with the idlers, and the drive motor is working, but nothing's moving in playback. Could be a capstan belt, I guess, or something, but I figure I better take a look at this thing here and see whether this one can be made functional so that I can sell it. Because I've got a guy that's chomping at the bit. It's been bugging me for the last couple days, wanting it bad, so let's make it work. A couple screws from the top and the cassette compartment, and I'm in like Flynn. And then I'll be able to see why the tape isn't moving. On these machines we used to just use the lid as a convenient holder for all the screws. This is a very old machine. Even the tuning dials, even the tuner it's a Varactor tuner that you set with thumb wheels, where you set the frequency range 2 to 6, 7 to 13, or 14 to 83. The fact that it goes up to channel 83 indicates that this was manufactured before the FCC eliminated channels 70 through 83 for the cellular, the first generation cellular band. So that would make this thing, let's see if there's a date code on this thing, but it's pre 85 for sure. It's an HR7300. There's no date on this thing, but this thing's got to be very early 1980s. The fact that I can spin the capstan freely and the motor not turn is telling me that there's probably a belt that's come off or broken on this one. So let's take the bottom off and see if I can fit a belt on there. That might be a challenge. If I don't have a belt for this, I may not be able to find one. Note the incandescent bulb for the tape end sensors on this one. That gives you an idea how old it is. I'm going to guess 82 maybe, somewhere in there. In fact, you'll find that there is a video on my channel of this very machine the last time it had power applied to it. I fixed it. It had an alignment problem, and this one was playing tapes good when I finished it, but as I say, I returned it to my storage locker to be totally forgotten about, and it probably would have never seen the light of day again until somebody threw it in the garbage. But I had an inquiry of someone who was curious about getting it. So that's the only reason this one's down here again. Hopefully I can get it going and be able to ship it out. Send it to a collector who's looking for an old machine. And hopefully it'll arrive in one piece. Nice thing about these old units is they were designed to be serviced. You just slid the circuit board back. There was actually a little slot here, and you could lift it up. Oh yeah, there's our problem. The belt has come off, or hasn't come off. It's just it's turned to, it's melted. Well, it's melted, it's just stretched. So let's take the old belt out of here and see if I can be lucky enough to have one. Loading belt looks to be okay because it's loading okay. And gotta swing this bracket out of the way to get the belt off. And then I'll go and see whether I've got one that will fit. Doesn't have to be an exact, it just has to be one that's going to have enough tension to turn it. This other little belt probably needs to be done too. That one still got a bit of tension, but this one here is completely loose. As you can see right there, it's pretty sloppy. So I got to find a belt that's roughly that size. In fact, this belt's not stretched; it's just loose. Okay, I'll look through my belt supply and see if I can find anything that's similar to that. I don't know if this one's going to work or not. A little bit smaller than the original, but is it small enough? It might be still too big. Okay, that one actually will turn the capstan motor. So that one might actually do the job. You see, if I turn the drum or turn the capstan, you can see the capstan motor is turning. I got a bit of a twist in the belt there, but we'll just take that out. So that one might do the job. Not too tight, not too loose. This other one here that was I don't know what the heck that is for. I think that's just turning the idler to drive the take-up spool. See if I can find a little bit tighter one for that. This is the original one that came out. This machine is so old that it didn't even come with an infrared remote control. You see the plug on the front for the wired remote control. It actually had a tethered remote to control the basic functions of this deck. It wires back into the wire ties. Notice this has got a separate motor for reel. And this is a solenoid and the loading motor over here. Board sides into place. And then the screw that holds the board in place are reinstalled. Now you might wonder how many hours a VCR of this vintage would have on it. This one, probably not that many. I've had it for many years, since the 1980s. maybe early to mid 80s that I got this one. This unit was, I think, about a 1982 model, and it was traded in at the shop I worked at, I think probably 85, 86, somewhere in there. Someone traded it in for one of the new hi-fi machines, and it just kind of sat around in the shop. Nobody wanted to buy it because it was a top loader, and of course, at that point, the front loaders were out. I ended up grabbing the thing because it was just one that was going to get tossed out, and I brought it home, and never really used it that much. Used it a bit. I think I used it as a duplicating machine for copying tapes for a couple of years there, and then I upgraded my duplication machines to hi-fi machines as well. And because this was a top loader, it didn't really go well with my stack of equipment. I think I had about 10 dubbing machines at the time for making copies of tapes that I was on, projects I was working on. And it got retired, and it got put into my storage locker with all the other mono machines I had, because I had a stack of a lot of old Hitachi machines, a lot of RCA machines and Panasonic. They're all front loaders, but they're all mono. And then I upgraded, over time I upgraded to hi-fi machines, and the hi-fi machines continued to run until everything was moving over to DVD. And then I retired them all and put them all in a locker, and in a storage locker, and basically forgot about them. I've still got a few of them. A number of them I've tossed away or sold, but I've still got a couple, and every so often I find one and drag it out. In this case, I got a person that's interested in taking this one off my hands, so we're going to make sure that it works properly and find it a new home. You may wonder where I get these machines from. Well, people give them to me. People that are tossing out equipment that they no longer want. They're cleaning out their basement or their garage and stuff, and they donate it to me to do videos on and get rid of, because they don't want to throw it out. They don't want to throw it. They don't want to send it to recycling. They think somebody might have a use for it, but I do try to get it running if I can, and try to find them a home. So pretty much everything you see on my channel that I've serviced that's mine is up for sale. A lot of it has been sold. I do go through a fair number. Like, most of the tape decks are long gone. Turntables as well. Got to clean the heads. Good old piece of paper soaked in alcohol. And there it is, it's playing. Note that the interference that you're seeing here is that's the plasma. Watch, if I take my hands and I put my hands near the heads, that's just the plasma TV that's causing that. Hold my hand near it. If I put this on a non-plasma monitor, it'll be fine. This is why I keep this little Sony 8-inch color monitor here. Plus the fact that I love the fact that I've got an 8-inch Trinitron, because that was one of the smallest Trinitrons I think they made, was the 8-inch. The smaller tube that they made wasn't a Trinitron, it was an Indextron. So this was the smallest of the actual Trinitron, but one of the reasons I keep this one here is just for this reason, because the plasma, as good as the plasma is, throws a lot of interference that VCRs pick up. If I just turn this plasma on, I'll turn it on, I'll watch what happens to the picture as soon as it kicks, as soon as the high voltage comes up. There you go, right? I'm not even displaying a picture. If I put it on something that's got a picture.
TheraWitch Relief today, available in stores everywhere.
You'll see the interference from it, see it? And then if I turn it off, there's the TV off. Yeah, plasmas throw a lot of noise that is picked up by the sensitive preamp on a VCR like this. It's got forward picture search. Yeah, they weren't great back in the day. And reverse picture search. But it does work. And this old beast is now going to be heading to a new home in the United States. So I hope you guys enjoyed the last look that you're ever going to see of this machine. One of the few rare top-loading VCRs probably still working today, and I should say working very well. The picture off of this thing, the camera doesn't do it justice because the camera is picking up. You can see the lines. Camera's too high resolution, so you're actually seeing the look at that. You can actually see, you know, the Sony Trinitrons had this fine wire in it here. You can see it. There's two of them, one there, one about up there, but they had this fine wire. You can see it in the screen, right? That's the reinforcement wire, and you can see it. This camera is sharp enough that it resolves the line in the screen. That fine line there that you can see. Actually, people actually would complain about that. They'd come in, they'd buy a brand new Sony, and they'd come back and say, yeah, it's got two dark lines in the screen. So it's got one line there, it's got one line up there. Why don't you fix it? It's defective. And we'd be like, no, can't fix it. That's a support wire that's on the aperture grill inside the picture tube. Every Trinitron has it. Most people don't notice it until it's pointed out to them. And then once it's pointed out to them, it bugs them. Anyway, to say this one's working great. I'll give you another look at the front of this unit. Look at the nice vacuum fluorescent display. I love it. It's got seconds. It's got a seconds length, or seconds display. How many VCRs had a seconds display that displayed the time of day in seconds? I think I gotta just set it. I don't remember how to set the clock on this thing. Clock set. There we go. There we go. Now it's not in set mode. See? It's got a seconds display. How many VCRs had a seconds display on the front? You know, to set it, you go to select, and then you would set the time. So if it's 1:49 now, I would just hold that until it got to 49. Real simple to set these things, right? And then the hours. 1:49 p.m. and then today's day is Wednesday. And that's how simple it is to set. And I actually almost got the exact time. I'll pan the camera up. This is just by a fluke. I'm off by about 3 seconds. But you can synchronize this thing when you're in the clock set mode. If you hit set, like for example, if I want to synchronize this to 150, I just wait until it gets, the real time gets to 150. And then I hit the button. Now I just synchronized it to 150. As can be seen from my WWV synchronized clock. Actually, it's synchronized to the internet, but close enough. My only use for CRT monitors these days, displaying the time. Anyway, that's the last look at this old beast. We'll put it together, and then it's going to be shipped out. Thanks for watching.